Good morning, traders. Welcome to today's market review. This is Fred Razak at CM Trading. Today is October 25th, 2019, and today is Friday morning, so no major economic events scheduled for today, but taking a look at the markets first with currencies, British pound and the euro taper off after a nice rally over the last week and a half, while the South African rand and the Aussie make both a reversal. We'll take a look at that as well. And looking at the Dow Jones, it continues to waver, really unchanged for the week, lackluster at 27,800-ish level, even though stocks have been coming out and beating its earnings. However, a mixed bag there. Looking at commodities, gold perks up above 1,500, while oil continues to rally, but the question is how much further as we inch closer to resistance. Now looking at the stocks, JP Morgan continues to break new highs once again at 125, while Tesla surges over $50 after beating its earnings and guiding higher. We're going to take a look at that as well. And lastly, looking at Bitcoin, it broke support, but the question is what's next? So let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So we're taking a look here at the Euro USD at a 4-hour chart. You could see we pretty much have been honoring this trend line, okay, for quite some time. We're testing it once again at this 111-ish level, okay. We did have a previous resistance here, which is subsequent support and this trend line. So this is really a major area for us to be in. What I believe will happen is that we'll be bouncing off of this trend line. We'll probably be trading between these two areas, okay, until there's some sort of breakout in either direction. So keep that in mind as we continue trading in the Euro USD. Now looking at the GBP USD, we're retracing here, okay, even though we've had this massive rally, which is news related, obviously, with Brexit. We've retraced down to this 128.51-ish level, which is previous resistance, also subsequent support. So I do expect it to bounce off of this area. However, if we do break it, the next real stop is 127.60-ish level going into the weekend. So keep an eye on this as this continues to trade later today. But really some amazing activity in the GBP and the Euro versus the USD. Now looking at the USD ZAR, it's been a nice little bounce. We mentioned this the other day as this was support level at this 1456-ish level, and finally bouncing off of it to 1471-ish level, and now retracing just a little bit. But the question is whether or not this is just a retracement to take us up higher. Okay, that looks like a bull flag being set up. And the exact same thing is happening in the opposite with the Aussie USD. Now looking at the Aussie USD on a daily chart, we saw it retrace after hitting 68.68 down to about 68.60-ish level, and now parking up just a little bit. So the question is whether or not this is like a dead cat bounce, and we're going to continue with this trend of this reversal. So keep an eye on that as that unfolds as well. Now looking at gold, trading at 1506 after breaking this 1496-ish level. Okay, and we've been trading within that range between 1480 and 1496. Now the next real resistance is this 1580-ish level. At this point, I believe we'll make a little bit of a correctional move as we enter next week. Now, this is really dependent on what's going on with the Dow Jones. The Dow Jones has been really lackluster this entire week, even though the stocks have been beating its earnings and, major stocks are making new highs for the year. But there will be a point where the Dow Jones will actually have to play catch up, catching up to the stocks as they're breaking out higher. Now looking at oil, this is what I was talking about as we had this nice little change here on Wednesday. We continued to rally up yesterday, okay, now tapering off to 56.09-ish level. But do remember that we do have a major resistance level at this 56.76-ish level. So I do believe we'll have a little bit of a correctional move as we're also on the RSI looking like we're overbought here. So that could be a decent play on a short sale developing going into next week. Now looking at this Dow Jones, this really has been lackluster, not really showing us any sort of movement besides this 26,800-ish level. Well, it's just trading sideways, okay, and not really discussing or not really showing us or telling us in which direction it will break out. However, looking at the stocks, JP Morgan makes all-time highs at 125-ish level yesterday. We're tracing just a little bit after making all-time highs of 125.45-ish level, but this is a bona fide buying, okay? If we look at a weekly chart, we could see that, it's almost, amazing how quickly this has gone up once it broke above this 121-ish level. And if it broke to 125 and people are buying it, well, like I mentioned earlier, people are betting that it's going to go even higher. So the question is, nobody likes to buy the top of the move, but then it goes from 125 to 126 and then 127, and then you kind of miss it at a certain point. So what I'm saying is, just be careful if you do chase it up a little bit here and it does retrace a little bit, just make sure you've got your stop losses in check. However, looking at Apple, still an all-time highs, 242. Okay, if we look at some of the other stocks as well, looking at Microsoft has been an interesting stock to trade actually recently, because it's been trading between this 134 and 141. Okay, however, this time it actually gapped up. You can't see that so clearly on this chart, but let's make it a 4-hour chart so you can see it. If we look at a 4-hour chart, you can see that nice little gap up we have here above the moving averages. So if we do continue that momentum later today, we may see this actually break out higher going into the next couple of sessions as well. So keep an eye on that. Now, looking at Tesla before we jump into Bitcoin, look at this massive gap up, okay, over 50 bucks. Look at that right there. Unbelievable. And we're still trading above this area, not looking like we're going to close the gap. I think this is going to be a gap and go, but take a look at this as this continues into today's session. And remember, altogether, this is not even close to our all-time highs. If we look at a weekly chart, just to give us a perspective here, we're trading at $300 a share, and this could easily go up to $347. Okay, if this does continue this momentum on the upside. So potentially this still has some room to move up, even though it's already perked up over 50 points. Amazing, amazing trade for those that have been watching it. Now, lastly, looking at Bitcoin, trading at 7,400 after breaking the support level of 7,800. To give us a perspective, let's look at a daily chart. Now, the next real Fibonacci retracement is at 6,000. Okay, so we're only about 400 points away from that. We are on a minor support right now as we're trading previously around this area, okay, at this 74.38-ish area. So if it does perk up here, potentially 78.41 will be your resistance area. So just keep and be aware of that. However, if we do continue this momentum on the downside, we could certainly see it hit 66.25, okay, going into next couple of sessions as well. So a couple of opportunities today going into the weekend and certainly going into next week. As we close in this final deadline between China and the United States, perhaps that's what the Dow Jones is actually waiting for to go in and rally and catch up to the stocks. This is Fred Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day and a beautiful weekend. Thank you.